Get ready for the show, it's about to begin. Pro fan talk when we dive right in. Sports talk, hot takes, ain't nothing we lack. We the real fans, nothing holding us back. Mic check, 1, 2, y'all know the drill. We bringing the energy, we keep it real. Touchdowns, liquid air on the slam dunks on the court. Every sport, every game, we holding down the fort. We breaking down the plays, dissecting the stats. Pro fan talk, we keeping it fat. Debating with passion, no filter, no doubt. We the voice of the fans, we scream and we shout.
Shit. Thank you, Carlos. I'm just a talking. I'm all out of sorts. So let me try this again. Thank you for everybody for joining me. I was on the phone with my twin sister and lost track of time. I got no excuse for being late. I was just running off at the mouth. Uh, Cody K was first out the limo. Tiffany was right next in second place. Daniel Berry was in third. Quentin Fields gets the fourth place ribbon. So appreciate y'all. Kev, Carlos, Alex, everybody in the chat. Chris, thank you, Chris. Yeah, my bad. But the situation with Shedeur, we're gonna talk about injuries because I just saw Georgia Amore tore her knee in Mystics practice the other day. So she was in practice for all of 3 days and she's gone. And I'm looking at this was the official WNBA injury list. So we're gonna go through a little bit of that, man. But with the injuries and things, I wanted to talk about like everything that's going on with Shedeur, right? And also, I don't know if you guys saw the guy, what's his name? Was it Travis Ford? He's he was a quarterback for the New York Jets. I think that's his name. I should know by now. Travis, no, that's not him. It's Travis. Let's see, retires from Jets. I can't remember his last name now. I'm tripping. Jordan Travis. That's his name. Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis, 24 years old. 24 years old. Has to retire. Medically retiring because he had a really bad knee injury in his rookie year and he could not do the rehab. He couldn't complete the rehab. His knee was jacked up. So he has to medically retire. And I got to thinking about that and juxtaposing that situation with Shedeur Sanders and with the title of the the stream being limited opportunities. Because here's the bottom line. And this is what I'm ascertaining from everybody that's came out after the fact. Let's just keep it a bean, keep it a buck. Yes, Shedeur Sanders is immensely talented. Yes, he should have been the second or third or fourth quarterback picked in this year's NFL draft. But he wasn't. The reason why he wasn't is because he didn't give good interviews and teams soured on him because there were some teams interested in him. And I think Chris Carter said it best, and some other people have said it. The interview process, that's part of the process, and you gotta stamp it. You gotta make your first impression, and he didn't do that. And what made it worse, I didn't think about this, but it tracks now, because remember, Him and Prime, Coach Prime was trying to kind of do it like the Mannings did it. I don't want my son to play here. I don't want him to play here, blah, 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 blah. So what I'm thinking is he may have kind of bullshitted his way through the meetings with the teams that he didn't want to play for. That's what I think happened. To me, that makes the most sense. The teams that he didn't want to play for anyways, he probably just bullshitted through the meetings. But that still doesn't explain the whole situation with New York, him being unprepared, all of that type of stuff. And again, Dayball ain't lying. Dayball is not the type of coach that's going to start a bunch of controversy and put his name in it. So, in my opinion, when Dayball said what he said, I was like, ugh. And if he did it there, he probably did it in other places too. Let's keep it a bean. Takes nothing away from his talent, takes nothing away from what he did at Colorado. But at the end of the day, this is a job interview, and I don't care who your daddy is. I don't care what your history is. You still have to put your best foot forward. Having said that, yes, there are plenty of times in the past where people have just totally 100% ignored any transgressions that athletes have. That has happened. So for people to say and bring up those past instances and say, well, how come, this person did a hell of a lot worse than Shedeur did? That is a valid argument. And there's no rebuttal for that, because you're right. There have been people that have done a hell of a lot worse. There have been people that have been just as arrogant. There have been quarterbacks that have tested badly and still got drafted. So those are valid arguments. I don't have the answers as to why, but I've got my thoughts. But those are all valid questions, and you can say that. Yeah, Born Croy. He probably cost himself $20 to $30 million. 20 to 30 million. And even saying that, if the rumors are to be believed, he was making close to 30-something million dollars in NIL money at Colorado. So technically, regardless of what he would have signed for, he was taking a pay cut when he got to the league. It brings up an interesting question, and I heard a coach say this before. Are you hungry, or do you just want something to eat? What's the difference? Are you hungry, or do you just want something to eat? Hungry means you're not used to having it. So you're going to bust your ass to get it. You know where you came from. You didn't have nothing. You didn't, I saw the story, the dude, this was a couple years ago. I forget, it was a running back, got drafted in the first round. He had his draft party at the homeless center where he grew up. So that way, all the kids in the homeless center that's in the same situation that he was in growing up, they got to share in that experience. That's being hungry. That's being hungry. Shedeur, he just wants something to eat. He ain't really never had to fight for nothing. He ain't never missed any meals. He never had, his whole family banking on him making it to the pros so they can get everybody out of poverty. Or he ain't never been in situations like that. He didn't have a golden spoon. He done had all of that. So are you hungry, or do you just want something to eat? Very similar to who was it? Who was it? Who was the basketball player? Who was the NBA player that they son got into the gangster rap and was flashing guns and all that kind of stuff? I think it was Michael Irvin. And he was like, I don't know why my son is doing this shit. He ain't grow up in that lifestyle. He had a Benz at 16 years old. Like Michael Irvin said, my son don't know nothing about that life. He had money. He had everything he could ever want. And he just chose to be in that lifestyle because that's the in vogue thing to do. That's the cool thing to do. He called him out on it. He was like, I don't understand why he doing this. Same thing. Are you hungry, or do you just want something to eat? But at the end of the day, it's an opportunity. And I say this all the time. Sometimes you can walk away from the game. You look at Jason Kelsey. You look at Fletcher Cox. You look at Brian Dawkins. Sometimes you can walk away from the game. Other times, the game spits you out. Plenty of examples of guys that just had one too many knee surgeries. There's plenty of examples of guys that played when I played in the 90s and in the early 2000s, and now they can't walk. I remember this was years ago now, so I don't know how bad it is, but I remember seeing the thing on ESPN about William Refrigerator Perry. I played with the Fridge. In 93, the Fridge played in Philadelphia. A lot of people forgot that. I played with the Fridge. And I saw this thing and he could barely walk. The thing that stuck with me from that little piece that ESPN or whoever it was, it might not have been ESPN, whatever. But the thing that stuck with me was his wife at the time would cook his meals and leave it in the kitchen. She wouldn't bring it to him because if she left it in the kitchen, that was the only way she could get him to get up and walk. Some people can walk away from the game, but most times the game spits you out. All of this stuff gets connected. 5th-year deal. We see what's going on with Jordan Davis. Why players want guaranteed money. They're looking for that big deal because they want security in case something happens. You look at Nakobe Dean. The prime example of why players want deals is you go back a couple of years, you go up to Seattle, and you look at what happened with Earl Thomas. Remember that game Earl Thomas got hurt, and as they was carting him off the field, he gave the middle finger to the coach. What's his name? Pete Carroll. Because in preseason, he was trying to hold out for a better deal, and he played soldier. He was going to be a good teammate, reported to camp, played his way through it, got hurt in the middle of the season, and never got his payday. Luckily, he rehabbed, he came back. But that's why you do it, because you putting your body on the line, and you never know when your number gets called and your time is up. You zig when you should have zagged. You look at Juju Watkins. We are hoping that Juju Watkins has a stellar rehab and comes back 100%. But you never know. Jordan Travis, you never know. Because I'm sure when he hurt himself, everybody was telling him about people that come back from it. You got the technology. You got everything working in your favor when it comes to medical technology to get you back on the field. And he couldn't do it. And I'm sure he wasn't thinking about that when it actually happened. So the opportunities you get will always be limited. You got to make the most of the opportunities you get. What does this have to do with Shedeur? Glad you asked that question. First impressions stick. First impressions stick. He probably got a little too comfortable, probably got a little too cocky, because he didn't think he had to worry about it. Whereas somebody else that maybe was projected to go 3rd, 4th, or 5th, or maybe undrafted free agent would never do that, because you're not going to jeopardize. You're trying to impress everybody because you're trying to increase. Shedeur thought he was on the mountaintop, so he wasn't trying to impress anybody. He trying to figure out, well, what y'all going to do for me when I get here? That's the wrong way to go about it. Because at the end of the day, you don't own a team. You got to impress. And he didn't get that memo. He didn't get the memo. You can do everything. Shedeur is talented. He's a great quarterback. He stands in there. He takes a hit in the mouth, gets rid of the ball, delivers it on time and on target. He can do all of these things. The only thing he couldn't do was humble himself or stifle down that hubris a little bit so he can give a good first impression. That's the only thing he couldn't do. I remember he used to laugh all the time when Michael Vick was playing, and even when he came to the Eagles, Michael Vick could do literally anything. He was fast, he could throw, read defenses, all of that kind of stuff. Michael Vick could do everything but slide. Never figured out how to slide. So he took some unnecessary hits. And you ask yourself, why is it that you can do everything under the sun but that one thing? All of that work Shedeur put in, I'm trying to put my best foot forward. But that's me. And what it comes down to is a personality thing. You're not going to vibe with everybody's personality. How many of y'all in the chat don't like somebody on your job? And you might not even know that person. But you already know the vibes don't mix. So, are you hungry? Or do you want something to eat? I'm curious as to what he's going to do, where he's going to be, and how he's going to make the team. That's what I'm curious about. Because I don't know. I don't know for a 5th round draft pick. I don't know. He puts himself in a bad situation because if you the top pick, you got a long leash. Not when you a 5th round pick. It's not that simple. Not that simple. So the poll, where do you think he ends up? I think he's going to end up QB3. That's what I think. A lot of people, okay, so 60, we got 19 votes, 63%. Everybody think he's going to be QB2. Interesting. Because they still got to figure out what they want to do with Deshaun Watson. They still got to figure that out. They still paying him $46 million a year. I think that's his contract. It's 40-something million a year. It's too much damn money for Deshaun Watson. That's what that is. It's too much money, but they already committed it to it. So the Browns is in it. They, it is what it is. The Browns GM and their executive, people in them offices, they not the brightest bulbs in the bunch, man. And it cost the franchise. Cost them. Everybody told him not to do that deal. Because I remember when it happened, everybody was like, they did what? He wasn't the same. And they knew he wasn't going to be the same. And here's the thing, if the Browns hadn't signed Deshaun Watson, was there another team willing to pay him $40 million after taking 2 years off and not knowing what his mental situation was? Was there another team that was willing to do that? I don't remember. I got to go back and look to see. I don't remember, though. Some team would have signed him. They wouldn't have paid him $40 million. Them other teams saw the Browns doing that. They was like, you got it. And it didn't pay dividends. You got outplayed by Joe Flacco, bro, a 39-year-old quarterback. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco done had his heyday. He got his ring with the Ravens. You got outplayed by a 39-year-old quarterback. And he back on the team this year, and he's 40 now. He ain't going to be 40. He's 40. And he got just as good a chance as anybody else on that roster. Yeah, they waiting for that. I don't think they don't want to pay him. They do not want to pay him. You might as well start that. Get Gabriel or get Shedeur Sanders. The one thing about Shedeur Sanders, if he's even remotely good, you got the NFL epicenter in Cleveland. Myles Garrett couldn't do it. Jameis Winston couldn't do it. Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel, none of them do that. Shedeur Sanders did it, and he a 5th-round draft pick. Shedeur Sanders is in the same situation like Bronny James. He's in the same boat. He got super high expectations because of who his daddy is. Now, whether he lives up to them remains to be seen. So Shedeur, you know he can study a defense. You know he can throw the ball around. He got all the tools he needs. They can talk that shit about he's got some weaknesses in his game. Everybody got weaknesses in their game. Gabriel got weaknesses in this game. Deshaun Watson certainly does. Kenny Pickett. Really? You really want to have that conversation? So he got just as much chance than anybody. I just want him to get the opportunity he deserves. Because clearly, Stefanski and the GM wasn't happy about having to draft Shedeur. I guess the owner put his foot down and say, draft the kid. And that leads me to another point. Everybody that thought Deion Sanders was just going to try to come in and wreck shop, Deion Sanders ain't running the show, regardless of who he got drafted by. Ain't no owner going to let somebody come in and just take over. They're not going to do that. It's too many people out there that are looking for a head coaching gig. And this ain't like, look at Kenny Pickett 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Pittsburgh fired their offensive coordinator. Because he wasn't getting it done. And it didn't get much better. So was it the coordinator or was it Kenny Pickett? What was the deal? He came here, he looked okay. Just okay. But Kenny Pickett, to me, he ain't no different than like Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew talked all of that shit. I appreciate his confidence walking into the office and let me get a crack to be the number one on his team and trying to outplay Jalen Hurts. And I ain't mad at him. But when you give somebody like that an opportunity to start, you're going to see what's what, and you're going to understand why he's a backup. You know who else that happened to? Nick Foles. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, brought him back as a starter. Nick Foles has never in his career, never finished the season as a starter. He either got benched or he got hurt. Never finished the year. Our Super Bowl year, he didn't start. That was Carson Wentz. And he just got the baton and kept on rolling. But it's very difficult to start in this league. You want to get every opportunity you can get and make the most of it. Yeah, that's what I'm with you. I'm with you, man. That's what makes Nick so special. Absolutely. Absolutely. But when he went to St. Louis, it wasn't the same. When he started here, it wasn't the same. He was good. He was good, but couldn't get us over the hump. But, I mean, he had a good game, and then Alshon Jeffrey dropped the ball. So, I mean, there's extenuating circumstances. So, I mean, the year he started here, he was good. Everywhere else, he didn't finish the season. He did not finish the season. Not for nothing. Kenny Pickett has a good chance to get cut. But I think they're gonna keep Joey Flacco because Joey Flacco is gonna teach the offense to Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders. So they're gonna keep Joey Flacco. Joey Flacco is gonna be the third quarterback. Who's gonna be number two? That's the key. So let's just say they keep Flacco, Pickett, and Watson. So it's going to be between Gabriel and Sanders trying to figure out who's going to be on the practice squad. Or, they basically just paid Joey Flacco a retainer so he could teach, be a professor and teach everybody their offense. Very similar to what Doug Peterson did when Andy Reid brought him to Philadelphia. Very similar to that. So we'll see what they're going to do. But again, I just want to see him get a fair chance. And the ugly thing about it is, and I already know it's coming. I already know it's coming. Every time Shedeur Sanders does something good, they're going to overblow it. Every time he does something bad, they're going to overblow it. They're going to overpromote it. And it's going to go so far with he sucks and he doesn't deserve it every time he makes a mistake. If he does something right or he has a good game or throws a good pass, they're going to go overboard the other way. So, I mean, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube now. If he'd have just, if you'd have just did what you were supposed to do, period. If you'd have just did what you were supposed to do, go into these interviews, impress everybody, and let them know you for real. That's all you had to do. Go in them interviews, impress folks, and let them know you for real. Be prepared, do whatever you got to do. That's all you had to do. Ego gets in the way. Ego gets in the way. And that ego cost him 30 mil. I don't know if it had been exactly 30 mil, but let's just say he would have been the first round pick. Even the second round pick. Okay, let's just say you may cost yourself, I don't know, 5 to 10 million. That's still a lot of money you throwing away. That's still a lot of money. You just thought that you could say or do anything and it was going to work out in your favor. And that was a mistake. Because that was a choice. You walked in with your eyes wide open. Still want to see you succeed. Still want to see you start for the Browns or at least get the opportunity and have a good game. I still want to see that. I hope you get the opportunity to hold up your watch. But you put yourself in the doghouse, Shedeur. You put yourself there. Got to tame that ego, man. Are you hungry or you just want something to eat? Oh, you only bow down to God and I'm out. I mean, and that's true, but God ain't going to tell you to go blow a job interview. I know that. I mean, you still got to do things decently and in order. I know that. And he didn't do that. He can do, and guess what? He did what he wanted to do, and it didn't work out in his favor. So you're not wrong. He did exactly what he wanted to do, and it didn't work out in his favor. And whatever is for him is for him. But the path is going to work itself in a different way. So he might end up because he could Joey Flacco could walk off the practice field and tear a knee. So, and that could happen to anybody. So stranger things have happened. So, God bless you and be out. I want to see it, Carlos. I don't want to see nobody get injured. I want to see him have a legitimate opportunity to play his way up in there. I've seen it happen. Tell me what's the difference between, I don't know. I got to think about this because I don't know what his process was like. And that's the thing that irritates me. And this is when I got to pull I played in the league card. I got to pull that card. I was a professional athlete in the NFL. I went through that process. I had to go to the combine. I had to run a 40 time. So I understand what he's going to. And I understand what it means when you walk into somebody's office and teams want to talk to you. So I get it. But the word entitled, I don't think, let me think about this. I don't think Shedeur thinks he's entitled. He wants to work and earn everything he gets. However, I think he came across as entitled in some of those interviews. Let me say it like that. So, regardless of who he is. He just acting like who he is. Well, guess what? When you go on your job interview for your job where you are now, when you went in that job interview, I'm going to guarantee that you wasn't arrogant, dismissive, disrespectful, anything like that. Whether you knew your job or not. If you're going into a job and you got 30 years of experience, your attitude is going to be a little bit different, but you still going to be respectful, and there's still some prerequisites. And I just think in that he failed on that. I just think he failed on that. Because, and let me say it like this, and we all talk about who he is, how he was raised, and that's just his personality. I know what? I know he ain't a liar. I know Shedeur Sanders ain't no liar. I know Prime ain't no liar. What is the thing? What did Prime say when he was at Jackson State? You might not like it, but I ain't lying. So I can look at Shedeur and say, I know he ain't no liar. And the reason I'm saying that is because he had every opportunity to come out and say, it didn't go down like that. Me and Dayball just had a disagreement. It didn't go down. It didn't happen like that. But he didn't. You got an opportunity to clear your name. So there's probably some truth to that. There's levels to it for sure. But at the end of the day, and this is what it comes down to, and this is what people just don't get to understand it. At the end of the day, if they wanted you, they would have taken you. There is no benefit from any team that needed a quarterback to not take Shedeur Sanders. There is no benefit from that because at the end of the day, you want the best product on the field for your team. You want to maximize the potential you get from your draft picks. So it doesn't make sense for you to pass up on a guy that was ranked that high by everybody and their mama, from Todd McShay to Kuiper, even the guys that didn't have Shedeur as a top quarterback. They still had him ranked high. So it served no purpose for a team to just say, nah, I don't feel like dealing with that. That serves no purpose because it doesn't help your organization. And at the end of the day, if he can bring you wins, or at the very least, he can pack the stadium, you're gonna take that chance. Blunt, QB1 is not an option on your poll. You're right. I don't think he's going to get that opportunity unless somebody gets injured. I don't wish injury on anybody. So no, in my opinion, QB1 for Shedeur Sanders is an unrealistic expectation. So no, I'm not going to put that on the list. I'm not going to put that on the list. I'm trying to be realistic and reasonable. And just like my man earlier that said he was out of the chat, okay. Like, I got a problem with people like thinking that like you just entitled to it. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is a little entitled. Maybe he is a lot entitled. I don't know. I don't know him personally. But don't get mad because something ain't given to you, because that goes against everything you are as an athlete, everything you are as trying to be a professional athlete. Who did I say did that before? And I was like really, it made me feel some kind of way when they said Lisa Leslie. Lisa Leslie was on I think it was Angel Reese's podcast, and they got to talking about she said she would never try to be a WNBA coach because nobody offered her a job from one of the teams that needed a head coach. Nobody offered her a job. And I was like, why would they offer you a job if you got plenty of other people that are a little bit more qualified than you? And then she said, I'll never try again. like she was disrespected. And I thought that was entitled. That's entitlement. You ain't really worked for nothing. Yes, you were a great player, but I can tell you plenty of great players that were horrible coaches. And I can tell you plenty of coaches that never played a down, never bounced a basketball, but they're great coaches. There's plenty of coaches, football coaches, that never played football. There's plenty of basketball coaches that never played basketball. They just had a mind for the game. So that happens all of the time. But to have people think that they're just entitled to it and they get to step over, and I guess this is the thing for me, because I had to work for mine, but that they just want to, because they are entitled, and this is how I'm interpreting the word entitled, they want to step over the people that's putting in the work. That's what I got a problem with. They want to step over and dismiss the people that have been putting in the work. 5, 10, 15 years, coached here, was assistant coach here, got all this experience being a coach, and you just want to step over all of them people that's been grinding, putting in all of that work, and somebody just supposed to give it to you. And I had to look up her record. The only thing she coached one season in the Big Three. And I was like, that to me, that goes against everything we are as professional athletes. We are the ones that are willing to grind. We are the ones that have made it to the top 1% of our class. Not to mention whatever it was you went through, whether you got injured, whether nobody thought you were any good, whether you lucked into it and somebody finally gave you an opportunity and you blew it up. Whatever the situation is, you had to bust your ass to get there. And then when you get to a certain point, you just get mad because somebody doesn't give it to you, when the work is what got you there in the first place. So it is what it is. Yo, Bob, 100%, bro. 100%. And that's the thing. What's up, Chris? That's the thing I say all the time. Like, at the end of the day, like, I don't care about rankings. I don't care about opinions. It doesn't matter. I don't care what your opinion is about Shedeur. My poll question, where will Shedeur end up? The answer is yes. That's the answer to the question. Yes. Anytime you ask me a question about a player, any sport, the answer is yes. Whatever you think, because there's nothing that I'm going to tell you right now in this split second that's going to change your mind. The only thing you can do, to Bob Brown's point, is wait till they get on the field and you're going to see what you're going to see. Look at what just happened to Caitlin Clark. All of that shit they talked on Caitlin Clark. She ain't gonna shoot that many shots. All that shit that Cheryl Swoops was talking. She ain't gonna take that many shots in the league. She ain't gonna be able to do this because she playing against grown women. All of that type of stuff. You know what? Wait till she get on the court. And you know what? She kept hitting them logo threes. She turned the ball over too much. But she proved that she could play. Same thing here. Eventually, he gonna step on the field one day, and then we gonna see what's what. But that goes back to what I was saying. Everything he does wrong is gonna get amplified. But that's what it comes down to. Who's your favorite player? Who's the number one quarterback in the league? Yes, that's my answer. Because there is nothing I can say to you that's gonna sway you one way or the other. You're gonna have to see what's gonna happen during the season. Is Jalen Hurts the number one ranked quarterback in the league? Yes, that's the answer. I don't care. You think your favorite quarterback is Dak? Is Dak better than Jalen? Yes, that's the answer. I ain't gonna sway you one way or the other. Is Jaden Daniels the next up and coming, next big thing? Yes. I can't sway you. But what I can do is wait and watch the film of the games that I see. Then you can base your opinion. Because once you see the game, then your explanation turns into either an excuse or an I told you so. So, yeah, no name. Everything is going to be determined. I say this all the time. Sometimes you just got to let things play itself out. And that's what's going to happen. If I'm playing baseball, I have the Philadelphia Phillies struggling a little bit right now, bullpen problems. But guess what? I don't want to hear shit about the Phillies until they play at least 25 games. Then we can start figuring out what kind of team they got. They play 162 damn games. 162. And they've barely played a month of baseball. And people bitching already. It was like, let it get warm outside. You look at the Eagles. I ain't got no opinion on the Philadelphia Eagles until they play at least 3 games going into the 4th. Because then you can see what kind of people you got, how they handle themselves in certain situations. Are they good against bigger guys, smaller guys, fast guys? Can you block? Can you not block? Can you break a tackle? All of that type of stuff. You see it on film, not in camp. You got to wait till the real game starts. I do the same thing this year. Y'all know I cover the WNBA. You know I'm a Caden Clark, Indiana Fever, Kelsey Mitchell fan. They made all of these trades. They got all of these veteran players, and now they predicted to go, deep in the playoffs. I don't know. I ain't seen them play together yet. And then when I do see all of them play together, and it's funny now, the WNBA is mainstream now because they do the same shit like all the other sports. They do the same shit like the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. You get all of these hype videos of them in practice. And every time somebody makes a jump shot, they want to act like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it's like they just made a jump shot in practice against somebody that's not guarding them 100%. So that's what they're supposed to do in practice. We talking about practice. Shoot an Allen Iverson meme. I want to see, they start playing this week. They got a preseason game this weekend. I want to see what they're going to do against somebody in another color jersey. Then you can start forming your opinion. What's up, Nina? Appreciate you. We're just giving opinions. Giving opinions, talking about Shedeur, talking about people's expectations. Everybody, people tend to, they go too fast, too quick. They go too fast, too quick. Y'all remember when y'all was learning how to drive, or you was teaching your kids how to drive? Everybody goes through the same thing. Everybody's had that experience, whether it was you or whether it was you teaching somebody how to drive, where the person driving waits too late to hit the brakes. Everybody goes through that. You see the car approaching. You reach the red light. You got to start hitting the brakes. You got to start hitting the brakes. Everybody's had that experience. It's the same thing. People get overexcited, and then they forget to do the obvious in situations like these. They forget to do the obvious. So that's why, you lose the first game of the season. It's like the sky is falling. It's like, nah, the sky ain't falling. They lost. They lost the game. We're going to play another one. But it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world for Shedeur. He's making the best out of a bad situation. He played the whole prank situation right. He was very gracious and forgiving and just left it at that. Cool. I like to see that. And now they got videos of him doing hills, and then he did some fundraising thing. And of course, people are taking a picture of that. And this is what your starting quarterback will do. This is what starting quarterbacks do. And it's like, everybody does that, man. It's just, you ain't because he giving out free food or something like that. Now that's what a starting quarterback does for his community. I was like, he was probably had an appearance as a member of the Cleveland Browns, and he had to be there, and he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. So pump your brakes on all of the crazy praise, because it's unwarranted right now. It's unwarranted. So we'll see. Yeah, Tiffany, I'm with you. Wait, let's go. Mini camp. Let's go. We got a lot of things to look at. We got a lot of people to look at. Put in the chat who's your favorite. Who out of the draft picks, who are you most excited to see in Eagles camp coming up? Is it Jihad? Is it Ty? Is it Makuba? Who is it? Which Eagles draftee are you interested to see? Jihad? Yeah. For me, it's Jihad and Ty Robinson. I think Ty Robinson is going to be a beast. But we got some good stuff. Yeah, I'll drop the link, Bob. I can do that for sure. For sure. Asking, ye shall receive, because I like to have a conversation and not do all the talking. One thing I got to work on, I'm efforting. I like to use that word. I'm efforting. I'm working on some new graphics. I got to get my background. I got to build a new podcast studio. I got to change the arena since I'm going to the WNBA. Got to get a basketball arena, not a football arena. So I'm changing some things around. I'm going to have a new look in a couple weeks. So I'm working on it. Yo, Alex, APR, bro. Y'all remember I said that. APR. Yeah, he a good one. APR ain't no joke. Everybody talking about Jihad and Ty and Makuba and Haynes and Hines and like APR was a good get. That was a good get. So once again, I think it's gonna Howie had a good draft, but when it's all said and done, I think this might be one of the drafts where Howie knocks it out of the park. I think this is gonna, yeah, affordable Bryce Huff. Listen, man, y'all know Blunt, man. You know what I feel. You know how I feel about Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff is not a bust. I don't know if they're gonna trade him. They're gonna get that money off the books. I don't know what they're gonna do, but he's gonna have his opportunity. He's gonna have his opportunity. So, all right, my guy Bob just bopped in here. Let me get him on. See what we got to say. Bob, what's going on, brother?
How are you tonight, pal?
I'm doing good, man. What you got?
So the Shedeur topic is good because it stops everyone from talking about the Eagles going to the White House. I appreciate that.
Facts.
So, yeah, I think that young man cost himself, besides the millions this year, which he cost himself, as well as anybody, especially with a team like the Eagles, they look at those top 30 visits, and even though they might not draft somebody, they've got a Rolodex, a file on everybody. So when somebody comes up, from what I know from somebody that works for that 4-letter sports network and that talks to these guys, his interview process and the words he used was the worst that they've ever seen. He went to the Giants and they met with the owner, John Mara. And Shedeur, sitting with the billionaire owner of the Giants, didn't even show him the courtesy of taking his headphones off during the conversation.
Yeah, I saw the Dayball quotes a couple days ago, and I was like,
yeah. And at that point, they said that Mara turned to the GM and the coach and said, if you want Jackson Dart, go get him, because this young man won't play for us.
Yeah, he wanted – the Giants were high on Shedeur.
Yeah.
And the thing that got me with the whole Brian Daboll thing, I was like, Brian Daboll ain't an asshole. He ain't a Sean Payton type coach.
No.
So I was like, and he was the first report where he put his name on it. That was the other thing. Like, you ain't got no reason to make this up. None.
No. He put his name on it. He put it out front, and he's standing by it. He hasn't blinked. The other thing that they said was that the GM, Joe Schoen, basically camped out in Colorado for the entire college football season. Now, Shedeur's there and Hunter's there, so there's a reason, right? He's picking three. He's got choices. There were only 9 teams did full workups on Shedeur because nobody expected him to drop past the Saints.
Right.
So when he started to fall, these teams, the only thing they really had was some college tape that they didn't look at and what they had heard about the interview process. And then from what he said, he told one of the teams, if you want me, you're going to have to give up a lot to trade up because I won't be there, similar to what his dad did when he got picked.
Right.
Okay. So, we're very big on comparisons, right? Who does this guy compare to? A lot of people seem to have compared Shedeur to his father, and that's not a fair comparison considering it's two different positions, two different generations, and two tremendously different skill sets.
Absolutely. He ain't even as fast as his dad is.
No, you compare him. There's plenty of quarterbacks. Like he's not in this draft. He was a first, second round quarterback. If he was in last year's class,
might be a different story.
He probably would have gone where he went. In comparison, because those quarterbacks would have been gone. And then he said that he told one team they had an established quarterback that was shaky, and he wouldn't give his name. But he said, Shedeur told him in the interview, I only see myself sitting for half the year, so how are you going to handle that?
Yeah. He had too much ego. He had way too much ego.
And there's been and as you know, there's been a lot of quarterbacks. Johnny Manziel was a much more talented quarterback, but the sideshow that came with him, the talent didn't overshadow the sideshow. Tim Tebow was not as good a quarterback, but had a better college career. But to put him on your team, there's that backup quarterback sideshow that comes with it. Some teams just didn't want that. Even Kaepernick has talent, but what comes along with him, some teams just say, I don't need that in my locker room. And now when this comes around again, and as a fifth-round pick, he's basically check to check. There's no guarantee. No guarantee a fifth-round draft pick makes that team. And of the two quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur, in your opinion, who's got the better mindset to be a backup?
Right.
Shedeur's not
Dylan Gabriel was pretty good. I think he was Offensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten.
And every time he changed teams, he was challenged to answer the bell. And every time he was called to answer the bell, that young man who's not big of stature stepped up and delivered.
And see, here's the thing for me, and I hate to say it like this, but it's the truth. Because I've been in situations like this where I remember long time ago, and I'm coaching kids, but it's the same thing.
Right.
When you get a kid that comes in and just thinks he's all world, doesn't want to listen to you in practice, and it's like, man, like, what are you doing? I remember getting into an argument with this kid's mother because she didn't like that I yelled at. I was like, man, get your ass, don't ever walk on my court. Like I got expectations, because if I'm gonna ask it of everybody else on the team, I'm gonna ask it from you. So that's kind of what I see Shedeur, because I think I think Chris Carter said it best. He was like, he was too busy telling teams that he didn't want to play for what he was and wasn't going to do. And it's like, you can't do that. At the end of the day, this is a job interview. Whether you like the people or not, you're still supposed to put your best foot forward. And I think his ego got in the way.
And the other that's just puzzling. I mean, everyone's making a big deal. He should have gone in the first or the second, and he went where he went. But the greatest quarterback that played the game in our lifetime, Tom Brady, went at pick 199. It doesn't, like you said, now that you're in the league, what are you going to do with it? It doesn't matter. I mean, for the Eagles, our left tackle played rugby and was a seventh-round pick. Now that you're in the locker room, can you humble yourself around these teammates, which are going to look at you side-eyed, some of them, especially if a fifth-round pick is walking around with a camera crew?
Right.
And the other thing that I was told was that you are correct, that Haslam came down the hallway and said, you are taking him, and they traded up to get him.
Yeah, they did not look happy at all.
Well, no, which is also then, so now if you're the coaching staff and you're the GM and you have to choose between which one of these rookies you're going to elevate, I mean, again, talent should ultimately win out, but let's say it's neck and neck coming down. Who do you think is going to get who's going to get the tie goes to who? The third round pick who you wanted? fifth round pick that the owner shoved down your throat. And quite honestly, if the GM in Cleveland had anything substantial, he should have said to Haslam, hey, you wanted the guy we have at our number one quarterback. Now you're paying $45 million to. Maybe you should stay out of the football decisions.
Yeah, they have not made good decisions in the past.
No.
I'm still wondering why they gave Deshaun Watson all that money. But
they needed something to make the team viable because it has been bad for so long. And especially when Watson said, there's nothing you can do to make me play there. And then they just added more, zeros, and all of a sudden
more zeros. Hey, Chris 3K, I'm pulling you up, but I don't know if your camera's messed up. And it, like in your thumbnail, it looks like you're frozen. So, all right, get out. He came out. You come back in. But yeah, I don't. But see, now when I look at the money side, because they can talk what they want to talk. All these organizations want to make money.
Right.
And Shedeur has made the Cleveland Browns the epicenter of the NFL right now. There's going to be somebody covering the Cleveland Browns all throughout camp.
Yes.
Myles Garrett couldn't do it. Johnny Manziel couldn't do it.
Nope.
Couldn't nobody do it. All them good players that they had come through Cleveland, and all of a sudden you got the 5th round draft pick. Everybody's waiting to see.
And again, 3rd round pick in Dylan Gabriel, 5th round or 6th round pick in Shedeur. Neither one of those quarterbacks is going to make the Cleveland Browns any better than they were this year, more than likely.
Right.
Okay. So that means the Cleveland Browns are going to be in position next year for a quarterback in a much better quarterback class.
Yep. Because they are going to try to. It would not surprise me in the least if they try to go get Arch Manning.
Well, yeah, but even Arch Manning being the cream of the crop, right? The generational, the bloodlines, and all of that. Even the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarterback coming out behind him are Shedeur and Gabriel. Those 2 guys are not going to be good enough unless something happens, right? Flacco falls over, hurts his knee,
right?
And Kenny Pickett loses his gloves, and all of a sudden one of these guys has to play, and they go on a 4 or 5 game win streak against some real talent. Cleveland's going to be looking for a quarterback next year. Cleveland once again invited the clown show, the sideshow, into the stadium, and it doesn't help their football organization. It just puts eyes on them.
Yeah.
And they're not getting any better. And I mean, didn't they? He was just out yesterday. They showed Shedeur going to one of the local schools with a camera following him. I mean, at what point doesn't somebody in his universe, not the team, in his universe say, hey, man, leave the camera crew home. Just go be a person.
Yeah, but
he's feeding the beast, coach.
You can't control that. And I don't know if that was a Cleveland thing or if that was something that he was doing. I don't know.
I took it to be his. If it was a Cleveland thing, you're right. That's a team event. It's going to go with you. There's nothing you can do about it. But even as Cleveland, this young man is feeding the beast, and the beast always wins. If you want him to have a shot to succeed, let him drift into the back, present well at rookie camp where he can show his football IQ, build a relationship with the coaches so that they can trust him, get to know him as opposed to the guy the owner made them take, and see if there's something in this man you can salvage.
Well, I think that'll happen because there's not Cleveland really. I mean, realistically, Cleveland is not in a bad situation. Worst case scenario, they got a top quarterback for a 5th round price.
Yes.
So, and then if let's say what you said is true, and they do maneuver everything so they can make a run at Arch Manning next year.
Okay. If
that's who they want to get, they still in a good situation. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of the only person that ultimately this is going to hurt is Shedeur. Because if it don't work for him, depending on how it ends up in Cleveland, will determine where he goes next, or if he'll even get an opportunity.
Yeah, and Chris Carter had mentioned it in that podcast.
Yeah,
that Dion interviewing for the Cowboys job, and the shadow that is Dion hanging over, where if the starting quarterback doesn't play well and Shedeur is sitting and he starts chirping on Twitter,
Yeah, I didn't buy that though, because I know what happened with the whole with Dallas.
right.
That's a valid point.
Mhm.
However, there is not going to be any owner in the league that's going to let Dion bully him.
I
Because
think
there's
I
no,
think that the owner of the Cleveland Browns is just such an owner.
yeah, but there's not. I guess the end result doesn't really help because
No.
it doesn't. The whole situation with Dallas, that's a different beast because Dallas is different.
For sure.
You got
That is
the relationships with them. Jerry's
right.
world is crazy, so that's a different situation.
Right.
But I just don't see owners just bowing down to Dion's demands. I just don't see that happening. If they don't
No.
want Shedeur as a quarterback, you first of all you gotta want Dion to be your head coach.
Yes.
So
Or-
I don't know, because at the end of the day, you might be able to get away with that with college kids.
Mhm.
Professionals, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Oh, sure it is. And there's going to be, as you know, there's going to be some professional athletes sitting in a locker room in Cleveland that when this kid comes in, if he doesn't humble himself and just come in and play, they will probably make an example of that young man.
See, I don't see why he wouldn't do that. That's where if he comes in there and does something just crazy, stupid, and there's been times before, I told the story yesterday, like back when I played in the 90s, man, every team had some guy that just thought he was hot shit.
Right.
And that would be the guy that got taped to the goalpost every camp. There was always
Right.
one guy
Sure.
that did that. So I don't think, if not for nothing else, like, dude, you done learned your lesson. Go in the meeting rooms, bring your iPad and your notebook, take
Right.
notes, and show these people what you made of. That's the only thing you can do.
And again, like you, I mean, I don't know the young man, but he should be, for the next several years, the first kid in the meeting room, the last one to leave,
Right.
first one on the field, and somehow be able to convince the team and his fellow players, all of that nonsense beside, I'm here to win and do the best I can for the Cleveland Browns. And if he can do that, the Browns got to steal.
They got to steal. And let me be honest with you, that's not hard to do.
No.
That's all you got to do is put your head down and just take advantage of the opportunities you get. Because that's the other thing about being a 5th round draft pick. You might not get too many reps with the ones.
Yes.
So you better figure it out real quick. So,
And he should in rookie camp, right? And you've gone in rookie camp is where you're going to get to show the coaches how quickly you can absorb all of the information thrown at you in a short time, because they're really not doing a hell of a lot. So he should have the football IQ, hopefully, that will allow him to not fall behind. Because if he comes out in rookie camp and can't process things quickly, that's really going to hurt him. What I found surprising was he has that relation, if what is reported is true,
right.
and he has that good relationship with Brady, and Brady has worked with him and talked to him and knows the type of player and person that he is, that Oakland, or Las Vegas rather, didn't say at a certain point the value that's on the board is something that we want to go get, because Oakland is not set for a quarterback.
Nope.
This is not set. And here's a guy in Brady that has worked with him that said, whenever Shedeur calls, I'll answer the call, and we work together, and you're part owner of the team. And that team didn't find the value to get you before Cleveland traded up after their second quarterback. That doesn't make there's something else there. My opinion. I just think there's something else there. Now he can prove everybody wrong, right? He's going to have the number 1 selling jersey for a while, whatever. Show up, keep your head down, and just be humble and play football.
Yeah. All they got to do is play.
You know?
All they got to do is play. I was waiting. Chris 3K, was your microphone working? Because if you said anything, I did not hear you at all. So, but yeah, man, he doesn't have. I don't even know how to say it. He just got to be normal. That's the best way I know how to say it. You just got to be normal, man.
Yeah,
And
but
if he
growing
can
up
do
as
that,
Dion's kid, he might not know what normal is. Coach, for you and I, normal is one thing.
yeah, man, we old school, bro.
For that young man, his version of, well, and not just him. Most kids his age, our normal and their normal are not in the same area code.
Yeah,
Okay.
he just gotta temper that. Do you know who I am? Like when I saw that comment when he was at the combine, I was like, boy, that ain't gonna end well right there.
Nope.
I didn't.
That comment aged like sushi at a truck stop.
Oh my God,
Not
that
well.
was not good. That was
Okay,
not
and
good.
everybody knows who you are now,
So
and they're all looking at him.
yeah, he gonna be enemy number one. And all he got to do is just be normal. If he could just be normal, go in, ingratiate himself with the other players, he just can't. He can't act like he Dion's kid. That's the key.
Right.
Because when you in the locker room like that, number one, everybody's on edge. Because everybody's worried about that guy knocking on the door, telling them to come to the office and bring their playbook.
Right.
You don't want that experience. So he just gotta be normal. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, forget about himself and just focus on team. And if you focus on team, there's no I. It's just what do I do to make the Cleveland Browns better?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who he connects with. And I mean, like when I was with the Eagles, one of the first persons me and this dude, still one of my best friends to this day, me and William Thomas.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of things in common. We were both like computers and nerds and video games and stuff like that. So we connected on that aspect. I'm curious to see who he connects with. That's a vet, not another rookie.
Oh, yeah.
But
right.
a vet, because I'm thinking usually I'm going to guess that it'll be him and Gabriel as roommates in camp.
Right.
They usually put two running backs together. My roommate was Vaughn Hebron, because we were the two undrafted free agent running backs. So
right.
they put you together and you can, you build those relationships. So that's going to be, are we going to get the stories like, because what's going to happen. Every day in camp, somebody's going to ask one of these vets, well, what's Shedeur's like? He's going to get the Tiger Woods treatment.
Yeah.
He's going to get the Tiger Woods treatment. You remember when Tiger Woods was winning and then somebody,
you won the
Mickelson,
tournament. What did you think of Tiger's putt on 17?
Exactly. You asking the guy that just shot 6 under, what did Tiger Woods do? And it's like, I don't want to talk about Tiger.
Yeah. And some of the vets aren't going to like hearing that. So he's going to take he's going to catch some shrapnel for that. And he's going to have to deal with it. And he should be pushing people off. It's like, what's that movie? The Replacements, where they go up to the quarterback and say, "You do good." No, not me. Talk to Clifford Franklin. He's the star today. And just drift away. I don't want the cameras on me. I just want to be a player. Yeah. I just don't know if he knows how to be just a player because he's never been just a player. Hopefully he can.
We'll see. Usually vets can kind of temper that because honestly, it's going to be one of the vets that's going to kind of set the temperature for Shedeur. It's going to be one of those situations like if the vets are cool with him, everybody will be cool with him.
Yeah.
But if he
I can see that.
If he rubs somebody the wrong way, that it ain't going to end well for him.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that's the situation where if the vets are cool with him, then that team can rally around him and protect him. But if he rubs salt on somebody, all of a sudden that door opens up and he's going to be fair game.
Because the one thing you don't, and I think I missed maybe one game in Colorado. one game from the Buffs. But you never really heard anything about what was going on in practice. You saw a lot of video, but you never really heard how it was really going down in practice. Like, how did he interact with the other teammates? Like, what was really going on? So that'll be very interesting to see. I'm waiting for the first interview where it's like, he's a regular dude. He was, we were playing Madden after meetings or, something to that effect. Just
Something
to
like that, yeah.
make him look a little bit more grounded. So we'll see.
Let the air out of the balloon, a little less tension. Right.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they were showing today video from Jackson State where he's getting ready, and there's a couple of the players on the team. Now, there's no sound. You don't know what he's looking at, but you got two of the players looking at him side-eyed, and they're like, look, even the Jackson State players didn't like him. And you're like, well, you don't know what the kid was looking at. You don't know what the situation was right before they started rolling tape. So this kid unfortunately, he's a target right now.
Absolutely.
But he put himself
there.
In there, right? He went out hunting with antlers on his head. Okay.
He did.
So you're going to catch some shrapnel. You didn't do the right thing, and that's the piece where you would have hoped that not Coach Prime and not Dion, but his father took him aside and said, "Hey, you're not me.
Yeah,
don't try to be me."
Well, he definitely didn't do that. So
no, he didn't.
Definitely did. I thought for certain. Because and this is where some of it I got to put some blame on Prime, and it's like because he's been in locker rooms.
Yes,
he knows how it works.
But the other thing, Coach, he's also seen quarterbacks that have that it factor, that have that arm that can throw it through the eye of a needle, that can do whatever they need to do. His son is close on a lot of those things, but he still has a lot that he needs. And every player has a lot to work on. But he wasn't Andrew Luck, and he wasn't Peyton Manning. Okay, he's not those guys, but he's being treated like he's those guys. And he may have gotten some of that treatment this year because, I mean, I like Cam Ward, but Cam Ward in last year's draft class is probably the fourth quarterback taken. So it's all relative to, he's in this pond and the pond just isn't really good.
Right.
It's not stocked. So all of a sudden, well, that's a big damn fish. Well, it wasn't a big damn fish last year because there were more fish in the pond.
Well, we'll see. He gonna have to figure it out real quick. That's for sure.
Yeah, real quick, because rookie camp is right around the corner and there's still cameras following him. Yeah.
Rookie camp is the thing with rookie camp. Here's where he could get some make some headroom. When you come to rookie camp, nobody knows anything. Right. They load a bunch on you. Mm-hmm. They throw a bunch of plays, and there's no way you're going to learn everything. So there's going to be a lot of mistakes being made. Mm-hmm. The best thing he could do would be for him to really understand with the playbook where he's in a situation where he can direct traffic. Yeah. That would be the best thing he can do. Because I remember going to rookie camp late. I had a final at EKU on Friday, and I flew out Friday night, so I didn't come to practice until Saturday. So we had Friday, Saturday, Sunday was rookie camp.
So you missed the first day.
I remember my coach throwing about 100 plays in front of my face, and then he was like, "This is what you missed," and then he threw another packet of plays, and he was like, "And this is what we're going over tonight." And I'm like, "Holy shit!" But
one day, right?
But you get out there, and we had, and see, here's the thing, we had vets
at rookie camp,
second and third year players.
Okay, got it.
They know we don't know what we're doing. They were telling us to run the wrong plays on purpose. Yeah. They were giving us bad information on purpose to make us look bad. Because the truth of the matter is we was trying to take their spot.
Take their jobs, right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
If Shedeur can be in a place where he understands what's going on and he can direct traffic and he can help the young guys out, right, that'll ingratiate him more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because now
He's
you got
gonna
the
make
players on
mistakes.
your side.
Yeah, he's going to make mistakes. Just make the least amount of mistakes.
Right. But if you can
Right.
help somebody else out,
Oh,
because
sure.
there's going to be some situations where he throws a good ball and it's going to get dropped, or the offensive tackle runs, wrong assignment and he
Sure.
get his head blowed off, something like that. So there's going to be some things on both sides of that coin. But the biggest thing is if you can help one of your other players, one of your other rooks, if you can help them look good by telling
Right.
them where to go, what to run, I don't know what to play. What am I supposed to be doing?
Coach is sitting there making notes.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. I got you.
Exactly. They filming everything, and the big guy in the sky don't lie.
Right. And when the coaches are sitting around behind closed doors going through the day's session,
that's
they
the stuff
know.
they talking about.
And that way, when they're asking questions, what do you do here if his hand is the first one up, or the hand that's up that's got the right answer, not just the first one, but the first right answer? That's going to take a little bit of the steam off them.
Right. Well,
yeah,
it's all
like I said in the chat, we're going to find out very quickly, not about what that young man is, the cloth he's cut from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because now they ain't going to give it to you. You got to earn it, bro.
Yeah, and they don't have anything invested in him. It literally could be, like right to work state. We really don't need you. Have a nice day.
Exactly. And the funny part is, the realistic part is Shedeur taking a pay cut playing in the league. Even if he would have signed his first round, he was supposed to be supposedly, I don't know if it's true, but supposedly he was making like 30-something million in NIL money at Colorado. And if that's the case, even if he would have signed, for a first round contract, he still would have been taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
So, but that's the NFL landscape we in right now with the NIL and all this stuff going on in college.
That's why the rear view mirror is small and the windshield is big. If he spends all that time looking at 30 mil in the rear view, he's going to have a big problem. Just look out that windshield, look at the horizon, and do your best to get there. Right?
Objects in mirror are closer than they appear.
You're not kidding there, bud.
All right, Bob. I appreciate you jumping on with me, man.
You got a great show, pal. Have a good night.
Appreciate you, man. We'll definitely do this again, man.
Yes, sir. Good night.
That's good points. Good points by Bob, man. Once you get in camp, you can do what you can do. Once you get in camp, you gotta take care of business. And that's the easiest way that I can think of Shedeur, because he's the quarterback. It's really going to test how well he can absorb information. Because if he can direct traffic and tell all his other players, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of people out there nervous. It's your first time in a pro camp. You're going to see somebody like, I don't know who comes to camp. I don't know who, do the vets come in and just don't practice? I don't know how Kevin Stefanski runs that. But I remember my first day at practice with the Eagles, I'm playing catch with Randall Cunningham. And every player goes through those mental hurdles where, man, this is Randall Cunningham. Dude, I was playing you in Madden when I was in college. Now I'm standing right next to you playing toss with you. Now I'm riding to the bank with you to cash my check. Now we going to the mall. Like stuff like that. It's a mental thing. That's where Shedeur would actually have an advantage, because he's been around this all his life. When you a player's kid, they bring you in the locker room. So you've been around Michael Irvin and Emmett and all of those guys, all of those greats and Hall of Famers and stuff like that. Shedeur done been around that. So it's old hat to him. But if he can direct traffic and you end up becoming the leader because you know what everybody else is supposed to do. And I know Dylan Gabriel ain't stupid. The cream is going to rise to the top. It's just a matter of who's it going to be. Whatever guy makes the least amount of mistakes, that's what it's going to come down to. Because I don't even think, honestly, I don't think Kenny Pickett is a shoe-in. I think the only person that's a shoe-in is Flacco, because he got to teach everybody the offense. Flacco was 40 years old. So we're going to see what we're going to see, man. Did Ricky get taped to the goalpost? If you talk about Ricky Waters was there after me. When I got there, the running backs, it was me, Vaughn Hebron, Herschel Walker, James Joseph, Heath Sherman. And then Saran Stacy from Alabama was there. He got cut. And Tony Brooks from Notre Dame, they couldn't cut him because he was injured. But Tony Brooks was the one that got taped to the goalpost. Because he was, he was that one that wouldn't be quiet. So, and everybody knew what he was doing. They knew he was milking the injury, all that type of stuff. So, it was what it was. And then one day somebody got tired of him talking. And then couple of the vets locked him down after practice. And somebody got his legs, somebody got his arms, and they carried him over to the goalpost. And it was about 5 or 10 of the vets. And you always know something going down because the vets would keep the that white athletic tape. You would see all of the vets with knots in their socks. They would put the tape in their socks, or they would let one of the trainers know ahead of time. So they would bring out extra tape because they knew what was going on. They knew it was going to happen, and they got him. They taped him up there, and then they dumped Gatorade on him. It's crazy. Business-wise, it is smart for the Browns to go with the rookies. Why? Because they have 2 first-round draft picks next year, and you want to see what these guys can do this year. I agree. I just hope Shedeur is in a situation where he proves everybody wrong, or at least to the point where this guy's not as bad as everybody said. All the stuff that they said, he ain't doing it here, because you can't say Dayball was lying or anything like that. What you can say is, well, whatever has been reported about Shedeur Sanders, he ain't doing it here. He's been a model citizen. He's been a great leader in the locker room. That's the type of reports that you want to see. Now, it is possible. It is very possible that somebody in the Brown staff can have it out for him. Not excluding the head coach. That is possible. Sometimes, again, with the personalities, you just don't like somebody's personality. You don't know them. You just know that y'all ain't gonna vibe. You already know. So that is a real possibility. It is a real thing when players don't play or players get cut because the coach don't like me. Every time I get the ball, every time they throw me the ball, I make a play happen. But the coach don't like me. That is a real thing. That happens. People like to pretend that everybody can get a fair shot. Nah, don't work that way. This is a political game. Do I need to say it again? There are plenty of people in the league that shouldn't be, and there are plenty of people that should be who aren't. So I hope Shedeur gets his stuff together. The Browns and smart football do not compute. You ain't lying, man. You talking to somebody that used to have a Brian Sight poster in his room, man. I like the Browns because I was from, I liked all the Cincinnati teams. I'm from Cincinnati, so I was rooting for the Bengals. And then I just, the Browns was up the street, so we thought we was neighbors. So plus before I lived in St. Louis, we lived in Aurora, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cleveland. So it was had that Brian Sight poster in my room. But we'll see. We'll see. They got a good defense. They had a good draft, including what they did with Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel. They still had a pretty good draft. So they will have the opportunity to put their best foot forward, and we're going to see what we're going to see. And I hope Shedeur has made it tougher stuff. I hope he is. So, because I want to see that kid succeed. So I went back and looked. There's since 1970, since 1970, I want to say there's been 26, either 26 or 27 quarterbacks selected as the first pick in the draft. Like 20, I think it's 27. So since 1970, now there have been more quarterbacks picked in the first round, but I'm specifically saying the number one pick in the NFL draft, a quarterback has been selected 27 times. Out of those 27 times, there's only been, I believe, 6 quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl. And this kind of leads me back into the whole rant with Joy Taylor about nobody knows how to evaluate a quarterback. That's relatively true. That's relatively true. Everybody's guessing. Because for every John Elway, for every Terry Bradshaw, you got a Tom Brady. You got a Drew Brees. You got a Drew Bledsoe. Peyton Manning was the first round pick, was the first pick in the draft. Bradshaw was the first pick in the draft. John Elway, Peyton Manning, and I can't remember all of them. Oh, hold on, I got a list. So out of those 27 quarterbacks that were the first selected, these are the quarterbacks who have played in a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, John Elway, Terry Bradshaw, and Cam Newton. And out of those names, these are the guys that have won a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, John Elway, and Terry Bradshaw. So it is a very short list. Very short list. It is very hard to get the quarterback right. You look at what happened to Zach Wilson. You look at, I remember, because I'm from the 90s, I remember Jeff George. Jeff George is like, and why is it the Colts get these quarterbacks? Jeff George was Anthony Richardson, but Jeff George couldn't run. But Jeff George had a absolute cannon for an arm. Jeff George could sling that rock a country mile. He was just a trash leader of a team. He was not a good leader. And it showed. He was like 6'6", and I mean he could sling that rock around. He had a beautiful ball, just looked like he was shot putting it. And that joker just kept going and going and going. Jeff George could throw that peel, but he was not a good quarterback with the Colts. He just wasn't. Anthony Richardson, all of his problems, he got a cannon of an arm, guidance system not included. And then when he said he didn't want to go back in the game, that stain will never leave him. Never. It's going to be hard. He's going to be hard pressed to erase that. He's going to have a phenomenal year. And where they talk about that year as, yeah, he struggled a couple years, they're going to mention that in passing, but he's got to have a couple of stellar years for people to forget that stain. Because that was, when he said he didn't want to go back in the game, oof, not a good look. Not a good look. So, don't you say, Tiff? I remember talking about this, but I can't remember what play it was. I don't know. About coaches not like that is a real thing. That is a real thing. You dealing with people put, and this sounds cliche, but people put the athletes and the coaches on these pedestals, forgetting the fact that you only want to bring this up if something happens to them. They get hurt, they get arrested, they do something stupid. Then they want to say, oh, we're only human. They was always human. They gonna make mistakes, and the personalities don't always vibe. They don't. And that is a real thing that a lot of these old school coaches don't like, this new school attitude. They don't like these kids with the NIL money that's already coming in with Benzes and got a couple mil in the bank. Because then these kids are coming in, they just want something to eat. They're not hungry. And a lot of these old school coaches, they don't like that. They don't like somebody coming out at them. They don't like that. These kids are smarter than ever before. Back when I played, your playbook was one of them big ass 3-ring binders that was 3 to 4 inches thick. If you lost your playbook, that was $5,000 taken out of your check. Don't lose the playbook. But if you really wanted to study, you had to have a super VHS player or a reel-to-reel, and you had to leave the facility with all of them tapes, or you just stayed at the facility till 9, 10 o'clock at night, watching tape there. So the thing about coaches liking them, that is a real thing. Not to mention, you still got nepotism and favoritism and all of that type of stuff. There have been situations where, yeah, I'm gonna bring my friend's nephew into camp. Give him a shot. It ain't what you know, it's who you know. That's happened before. That has happened before. So it's crazy. I just hope that he gets his legitimate opportunity to show out what he can do. And damn it, brother, young fella, you better show out. You better show out. So, but I'm gonna get up out of here. We've been rocking for about an hour and 30 minutes. Appreciate everybody. Tiffany, Bob Brown, thanks for coming on. Chris 3K, I don't know what happened, bro. Blunt, appreciate you. No Name Sauce, appreciate you. Bob 316, Cody K. Did I miss anybody else? I think you got it. Nina, appreciate you, Nina. Chaz Watkins, Quentin Fields, everybody. We had a good conversation tonight, man. Good conversation. It's a lot. This is a very nuanced situation. There's a lot of layers to it. But ultimately, what Shedeur needs to do is just take care of business. Don't do nothing stupid and ingratiate yourself with your teammates. It's the best thing. That's the best advice I can give him. So, but we're going to get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, Saturday, the WNBA gets started. So I will be doing probably like a live watch of the preseason games. I think Indiana is playing. I'm not sure who it is, but you guys know I'm an Indiana fan. I'm a Kelsey Mitchell fan. So, yeah, we'll be doing that. Born Croy. I like that name, man. Appreciate you joining us today. Don't be a stranger. So yeah, man. Good stuff. So I'm gonna get up out of here. I will see y'all tomorrow. And do me a favor. After you hit the like button, make sure everybody hits that like button. If you like basketball, or even if you don't like basketball, do me a favor. Go on over to my new channel, Pro Fan Hoops. Pro Fan Hoops. That is my channel for all things basketball. What I'm doing is this channel, Pro Fan Talk. I am still putting all of my content on this channel. And I am just moving specifically my basketball content to my second channel, Pro Fan Hoops. So give it a shot. I got a couple videos on. I'm slowly matriculating all this stuff over there. You see, I'm implementing my new thumbnail style. That's been going good. So if you like hoops, give me a subscribe. Go to Pro Fan Hoops so I can build this up. And eventually, this is going to be my spot for basketball. And eventually, Pro Fan Talk is really going to stay with football and other trending sports. So, yeah, we're trying to keep it moving, trying to keep it growing, bro. So I'm going to get up out of here. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. See y'all tomorrow. We'll have more stuff for you, all right? Y'all be good, be safe. I love you. God loves you, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Peace.